Hey, everybody.
What's up, everyone? How's it going?
It is me, the philosopher,
It's
and
Tuesday.
Jack here.
Yeah.
Another recurring
It's crazy.
guest.
Oh, yeah. Am I?
Same recurring guest.
I am the same recurring guest. If you're watching this right now from wherever you're at, give us a
Yes.
shout out. Let us know you're here. What's up,
Where
Derek?
you
Also,
at?
for
Hey,
us to
Derek.
best see your comments, make sure to
Sup?
join the stream on YouTube. That's youtube.com/the philosopher, PHOLOSOPHER, the philosopher. Come
That's
on
the best
YouTube, say
place.
hi, drop in the comments. I know I got a
Come
lot
on
of people
over.
watching right now, but we are multicast streaming to like 8 different places as we often do. So come on by, say hi.
Yes, YouTube is the best place. Come
We
on over.
are randomly doing this because we weren't sure if we were going to stream for a little bit on this crazy night.
Yeah,
So
you
what's
had
happening?
you had a couple interviews today, right?
I was just on Libertarian Christian Institute talking about terrorists, so I just popped over from that.
Nice.
Hey, what's up, the
Tariffs
Eternal?
Are terrible.
Hey, what's up, Libertas?
Hey,
What's up, Diago? Hey, what's up, Night Shift? Yeah, we got quite a few people coming in.
Ooh,
So-
we saw you guys last time. This is
Yeah,
awesome.
it's good to see y'all
Yes.
again. Yeah, we're just chilling. Like obviously,
we have the votes up on the Google and just seeing things come in, seeing that Florida where we are is totally Republican red. I mean, it's not
Oh,
like
yeah.
everyone voted right
Let me
in the
see here.
state, but
yeah. Well,
those that are
basically,
registered.
let me see. We're gonna share screen because it's so crazy because as you know, we're voluntarists, we're ANCAPs. So because of that, obviously for us, we know the state always wins whenever we go through these painful federal elections. So we're a little bit more sober-minded about that. But it is always interesting to see what happens with everybody because so many people, they make so many predictions. They do so much in their lives based on whether some stranger, thousands of miles away from them in DC, decides to say or do things. And so they make their lives revolve around those thieves and those morons. So, those of us who are here who are a little more savvy are,
Tech savvy?
always, tech savvy is one part of it. If you're a little more savvy, you think outside the state and you do things to make the state be as little bit of a problem for you as possible. You make your life a little bit better that way, if you know what I mean.
Try to provide value in the market
Provide value in the market.
voluntarily.
Yeah.
You try to have peaceful relationships, no coercion and violence.
Exactly.
No spanking your kids.
No spanking. Yeah, there's lots of ways to make life better regardless of whatever happens tonight, which obviously, considering everything that's been going on and what we've seen, it's just absolutely crazy right now because, you have so many different people who are desperately fighting for this seat and for this attention. And it's not just the politicians. It's also the people who are going to have their next 4 years revolve around this, from lobbyists to political action committees to different groups that they're looking to get their wheels greased based on who wins. So it's a crazy circus, and
right, it's not just Trump,
right?
Although obviously that's the focus, Trump or Harris. No one's saying Trump, Harris, or Chase in the mainstream news.
Right. Yeah. Right now,
none
you
of the
can see
corporate press is saying
Chase has 91,000 votes. Jill has 100,000.
Hey.
Robert has 30, which is interesting because he's
That'd be
basically
cool if he beats
full-throating
at least Jill
Trump.
Stein, because like the Green
Right.
Party,
Green Party's been
aren't
a
they
main
like
competitor.
eco-fascists?
They are a bunch of eco-fascists.
Yeah, they're not
So,
like
Robert Kennedy is basically Green Party. It's just he's obviously doing his thing now.
he's
with
independent.
Trump. Yeah,
Well, he's like obviously
he's basically on Team
famous
Trump.
enough from his family, from
Yeah,
his uncle being JFK.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's always interesting to see because there's so many different also performative contradictions that people engage in whenever they talk about this stuff, right? They'll say, and I'll be
Somersaults.
careful with my language for YouTube's purposes. I don't self-censor. I modified it to skirt. But if there's certain machines and those machines don't perform as expected, right?
I just imagined you in a car going skirt.
skirt. There's lots of people who say, okay, these machines aren't going as expected. And it's true. There's already been some crazy stuff with people showing their machines not going as expected or different threats, and suddenly they have to clear out the polling stations, right? So it's already getting to be crazy. And I don't know if it's true. Someone confirmed for me, because I haven't had the time to go and fact check this myself, but I saw something about like they're testing some hypersonic nuclear missiles supposedly overnight. What? Yeah. Supposedly, like again,
the Biden
I don't know.
Administration.
I'm guessing supposedly. Again, don't just take my word for it. I'm asking you, the audience, because it was 1 second before I got on the show. I just saw something like, what is that? I'm like, I wanted to go look and see, is this legit or is this just nonsense? Because as always, you can't trust anything you read or anything you read on the internet. So
you can't trust anything you see, hear, touch, taste, or smell.
You can't trust it.
You got to validate multiple times.
You definitely have to validate it. So
what are we, nerds?
Oh yeah, what is people crying at election? Yeah, there's going to be definitely lots of tears, no matter what way you cut it, because already on both sides, sides.
Which meme do you want to see? Not just crying, but it's like,
yeah, right, yeah,
like primal scream in the air. I mean, that's how I scream every day.
You scream like that
when I think about how much we're taxed and inflated, and how much is stolen from us through taxation and inflation.
And inflation.
It does make me do that. Like the meme, like I know you're saying like, oh, you want to watch people crying and stuff, but like I legit not like cry, but I'm just like outraged, just like
yeah.
But anyway, that's why we do what we do. We channel the energy.
We channel that
into
energy,
productive means.
Into much more productive means. Because again, you know what I mean?
It's easy to get lost.
If your whole life revolves around that, then you're never going to get anywhere or do anything. You have to be living more than just what happens every 4 years. You got to be thinking outside the state. You got to be protecting yourself economically and physically, in terms of getting strapped.
Definitely. And also what we're trying to do is help people realize the nature of the state.
Right.
Because a lot of people do just go, okay, who's going to win this time? And if it's their person, they just kind of, plug out and they focus on their lives, which I totally understand. Like we all, to our knowledge, have limited lives. So you feel that pressure and that stress, especially if you're parents, to spend your time doing what you really love with your scarce amount of time on in your life, however long you have left. So I totally get that. But what we really want to do is help people understand that the fact that every 4 years you may feel like super stressed about who's going to win really speaks to the nature of the state itself and the government. And we're talking about the United States here. We have a federal government, and then you have many more state governments, 50 state governments. But then within that, you also have local, county, like governments and councils and stuff like that. So you have many levels of government, and our focus, I think, as Americans in our lifetime, trying to do this for all 50 states is really hard. But when it comes to the federal government, if we could at least have this understanding that, this is tyranny, this taxation system from the federal government, from DC, is theft. And if we can have understanding of the Federal Reserve and that system and how inflation is even more of an insidious killer than taxation, because it's so much harder to see and measure, and it's so much easier to cover up than just how many people are taxed. Mm-hmm. So, we really got to keep helping people realize the nature of taxation, inflation, that it is theft, that it's not necessary, that there isn't this mystery business cycle where things just fail in a free market. No, that's fake. That's false. And actually what causes things to fail is the state and regulations and government interventions and government stifling innovation with regulations, taxation, and inflation, and just control and coercion. So that's what we really have to help people see, that the reason why they're like, oh my God, who's going to win this time? Is because we live under a system where your individual rights, Jack's, our individual rights as Americans, they can be voted upon to be violated. And already you have so many laws, victimless crime laws in the federal level, state level, local level. And, there's a lot already going on that needs to be dismantled. And if you want to read more, I mean, you're not reading, you're listening. But if you would like to read in depth what Jack in Mind's solution, I'm just glad I didn't get a paper cut. I hate paper
cuts are dangerous.
Yeah.
Almost as dangerous as the government.
It's like, just shoot me. I don't want a paper cut. Like if I had to choose. It's weird. All right. A vision for a libertarian future. What does it say in the back? Let me tell you. It says libertarian. Yeah, this is it. Libertarian theory has never been as culturally engaged with as it is today, even with many starting to hear about and receive the basic principles. A consistent, cogent framework of political advocacy is sorely missing. Jack Lloyd, and I was the editor, fills this gap and concisely ropes together the most pertinent political transition change advocacies, inspiring the world with a vision for a libertarian future.
I mean, and that's certainly more so a way for people to help. Like it's a way for people to bridge the gap about their thinking when they're like, well, where do we go from A to B? Yep. But like this would be more personal. That's more this book's more the personal thinking and personal self-improvement, taking control of your own life kind of thing.
Oh, give me that first one.
You want this?
All right. So we got the trilogy here. And this is the Libertarian Voluntarist trilogy, not Neo. And this is upside down. Let me just flip that. Yeah, that's not supposed to be. So yeah, you can see this, ANCAP trilogy here. So let me walk you through this first one, Definitive Guide. And I was the editor for all three. So if you see a spelling error or grammar error, let me know. That means I messed up. But like this first one, Definitive Guide to Libertarian Voluntarism, this is like, okay, what are the principles? What are individual body and property rights? What does that mean? What is consent? And so you can read that there. It's great read. You know, you go to the beach, you lay in the sun, you're like, oh yeah, the sun, the sky, the clouds. And then you read this and when you're done, you're like, wow, I know so much. I'm going to go to Twitter and tell everyone I'm an ANCAP. All right. So then the second one is A Vision for a Libertarian Future, which is what I pulled up first, just in talking about how we want, because, we're covering this political election. There are many watch parties throughout the U.S. and we're one of them. So thanks for being here. And I think if you're curious, like, how do we, like Jack said, get from point A to point B? Point A being extreme statism, tyranny, heavy taxation, inflation, wars all around the world, U.S. government intervention all around the world, especially at home in your personal lives. How do we go from that to a libertarian society, to ANCAPistan, colloquially saying, I think I said that right. How do we actually get there? How do we get to a society where we are no longer taxed to death and we're no longer enslaved and where our property rights are enforced and respected? How do we get there? And so if you want to think about that, read this of how we actually transition. And this is really more looking at the United States and looking at the specifics of the geography and the culture and the politics and just seeing how would we actually transition in a political sense. And then lastly, as Jack mentioned, this is just like every day, philosophical voluntarism. I know it's, a long title in a way, rather the words are long, but really this is about thinking what is truth versus falsehood. Like, how do you know what you know? Why do you know that something's real? Like, how do you really know? Oops. And it's really like going into how do you challenge your existing assumptions, beliefs, and habits? How do you challenge those and really think of them in a new way and be like, okay, is this the way that I want to be acting? And not to shame yourself for noticing if you're doing something in error, but just to try and understand yourself and be like, oh, okay, this is why I chose to do this or felt like doing this. And here's how I want to change. And it's really, that's that sort of daily work that one can do, in my opinion, to truly be free, even though we live in a society and we may not be able to end taxation and inflation in the Federal Reserve, but God, we're going to try. And I think why not try and be one of those people that carries that torch of liberty forward and says, hey, slavery's wrong. Okay. The name ended, but it changed names. Taxation, conscription, inflation. I mean, these are all forms of slavery, technically. If you're in prison for a victimless crime, that's a form of slavery. I mean, you don't own yourself. So yeah, that's really what we're tasked with. And we have, I think, a positive building message to help people see. I mean, it's what I've been passionate about. If any of you have been here since the beginning, since I started The Philosopher back in 9 years ago, 9+, you'll remember my core thing was just like, hey, let's focus on self-knowledge first and foremost. Where did you come from? What happened to you?
Where did you go?
And where did you go? Where are you now? Exactly.
Cotton Eye Joe.
Oh, that's what you were gonna say. Oh, we have different song references. You're just like, no.
Yeah. Where did you come from? Where did you go? Where did you come from, Cotton Eye Joe? We know where child rapist Joe is, but not Cotton Eye.
What?
He's in the White House still.
Oh, but it's just I just gotta laugh because that he literally won presidency, right? Got in questionably, and this is YouTube. So I'm gonna say it was questionable, sus. And he tried to run again, and he's talking to a wall, and this is just hyperbole, but he's talking to a wall, and he's just like, vote for me, and they're like, all right, Kamala, get in. Like that's what.
I'm kind of surprised that they didn't have Kamala actually become president. I was imagining that if they had actually had Joe Biden drop out like a month or 3 weeks before election, she would have carried the whole publicity cycle of him leaving and
next time
and her coming in and her basically just taking up all that media cycle and like, oh my gosh, again.
I am surprised.
I hate her, of course. I'm just saying as a
they have
strategy,
the best excuse. He literally is not running a second term, Joe Biden. So they have that excuse of like, oh, he's too old. He has to step down. Blah.
Right. They could. I just said like it's basically that he's such a good geriatric meat puppet that they're like, oh, okay, you know what? We're not even gonna risk it. We're this one was crazy. We're just gonna let him say.
I feel like our federal agents are watching. They're like, shit, next time. Like, you're right. He was talking to walls.
He's talking to walls.
He was licking ice cream. The ice cream was falling down.
It's crazy.
And then
it's
most recently,
crazy.
he was sucking on a baby.
There was some babies at a Halloween event, and he was, doing little toe sucky, finger sucky, sucking on the legs, that kind of thing. I don't know what it is. It's that generation,
it's like the most excusable when it's your immediate child.
Children, but yeah.
Even then, it's hecka
weird. He just looks scary doing it. He looks like a monster.
As soon as it's not your immediate child, for me, it's like, dude, that's weird.
Yeah, no,
what?
It's definitely
What are
you
doing?
No, he's like
why are you getting weird pleasure off a child? It's sick.
Yeah. So yeah, he's definitely a little child diddler. That's for sure. From what we know, it's funny.
The daughter's diary, right?
The diary definitely said some.
All right, this is gonna be taken down right now.
We have the cover.
Football.
Look, don't worry. It's okay because Trump has 101. He has 101.
Whoa, 101 to 409? Wait, I mean 49?
Everything's going to magically be okay now.
All right, we're only in the southeast of the United States.
Look at how red this is in this corner.
And also,
it's so red.
Why are the counts voted faster? Is it just because PST's behind?
Well, yeah, time's behind. Fine. Some of these places are obviously going to be crazy.
They're so slow.
Yeah, they're
like,
way.
Look at New York.
New York is.
You're like,
nothing.
Come on, you're East Coast.
Yeah.
And they're all about hurry up, be fast. Like, I don't know. Come on. Like, and you literally have a technocracy. Like, where's your electronic counting? That doesn't.
Because I think there's going to be some interesting midnight jumps, if you know what I mean. But
yeah,
I can't believe that Trump only has 56% in Florida at 91%. That's shocking to me.
All right, who's all these cabal?
Yeah, because
we've
honestly,
driven around and we've seen, like, for example,
this is Trump country, like signs. In terms of number of people.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
I have seen more signs, and there was like those people on the side of the highway going, "Yeah, Harris," and I've seen more signs that say like "Hunters for Harris," and Walds, and I'm like, oh man, these hunters.
Oh, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Or they're FUDs. They're FUD hunters.
Yeah, JP says, "Get ready for the big midnight dump." Yeah, exactly. We know what we know that it's going to come regardless.
They're like, all right, everyone's sleeping. All right.
Yeah, once you go to bed, then the nuclear or hypersonic missile
disclaimer:
goes off.
This is totally hyperbole. We're not claiming anything. Like, I checked with my attorney.
Midnight dump, as
we ain't claiming anything.
Going
We're
poopy. They're going to the bathroom.
Making jokes. This is comedy. Jokes, comedy. All right.
Yeah,
but that's really interesting to see if Florida's just
I mean, obviously I'm not surprised Florida's red. It's like been for a long time now. It's been it's mostly been rhinos and FUDs and this or that, but they obviously with the Trump stuff they got more people coming in with the lockdown shutdowns. But I am kind of surprised it's only 56%. I would have thought it'd been closer to 60 personally. Now maybe that's people just not coming out, getting lazy, but
looks like it's almost done, I guess. 91%.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm just saying I'm surprised for Florida when you consider it's like the base. It's like literally, his home base.
Wow.
So
yeah, I mean it's 91% reporting, but it's one. So look at all that. It's already. But where is that's interesting. Look at where it's one for the Democrats. Vermont. I mean,
that's not surprising. Vermont's not surprising.
This is is this like a heat map right now of like the worst lockdown states? I know the West Coast is totally missing. California, Washington would totally be.
I mean, these are also barely reporting this 1%, 2%. It's nothing,
states. Yeah.
Oh, Rhode Island. Ooh, wow, 52%. So hard for such a little piece of crap place.
4 electoral votes?
4 electoral votes. Yeah, that's all they got.
Wow,
they get 4.
It's teeny.
New Jersey.
It's really
now
small.
That as Gordon here has toilet paper time. Yeah, that's New Jersey for sure.
Wait, what? Gordon?
Yeah, up here. Toilet? He's Gordon Goodbrother here.
Oh, hey. What? Toilet paper.
Oh man, but it's just nuts.
That's a really cryptic comment. I'm like trying to understand and process. Like, okay, time to go to the bathroom.
I just know that obviously if Trump is the winner, there's going to be so much rioting and violence. Like that's going to be guaranteed.
I mean, if his first 4 years for any indication.
Well, we already know from before when there was stuff, but this one's like guaranteed. Like if he does, just it's just going to be crazy. You know what I mean? It's going to absolutely be violence in the streets in some of these blue places for sure. We're not going to have to face that.
So you don't think it's just going to be sad parties?
No, I think that there will be, because it's been that hyped up in terms of the the media framings and stuff, and you have just that level of zaniness and you have that level of like mental illness essentially.
Is the media framing specifically that like Harris is literally a savior compared to Trump, and Trump is literally gonna bring in a new
they just say that he's NAZI,
even though the new world NWO is already here.
Yeah, well, they don't even say New World Order because they want the New World Order, but it's just it's more so that the way that they characterize and they inflame and have for so long, it's going to inherently create that type of like renting of clothes and ripping out hair and people burning stuff down. I'm sure if that happens.
Yeah, what happens if Harris wins?
If Harris wins, it's the same old. They don't
think people are gonna.
Conservatives don't tend to destroy stuff.
No, they tend to just be like, shoot, I got to work harder and conserve my money even more.
Yeah. As JP says, it'll be fiery, but mostly peaceful protests. I would fully expect that.
Yeah, right.
I think it's gonna be harsher than before because there's been
but
that much more
that is one of the
heat
best
since that time.
Of just media, just FUD-inducing bias.
Exactly.
That's the focus. They just want to make you feel fear, uncertainty, doubt, and distress. They just want to constantly keep you there so that you'll continue to vote away your rights. And then also attack anyone who's like, hey, let's focus on gold, silver, Bitcoin, technologies that help free humanity, anonymous software, or, ways to actually collaborate better and be more free, end-to-end encryption. I mean, these are the things. There's so many more things in the world that you could be doing. being a philosopher, literally just trying to change minds, creating content. Maybe you're good at music. Maybe you know how to play instruments. I don't know. Maybe you know how to sing, rap, or dance. You can do
Are you
something.
giving yourself a pep talk
to
here?
Spread liberty. No, that's just like what I tell myself every day.
I feel like I want to sing, I want to dance, I want to. You didn't say like I'm gonna go chop wood, I'm gonna go cut down a tree, I'm gonna go
I mean, I've done that, and whenever I play in the dirt, I'm like, oh wow, this is like my childhood. I used to do this, play in the dirt, and then I'm like, my hands are dirty. I need to put on gloves. Yeah. But it's just like specialization. I'm not like really strong at all.
That's why you shoot
I
guns.
go to the gym and people are lifting, aka monsters, are lifting 140, 200 pounds, and they're like, and I'm like, okay, you done? And then when they're done, I like clean up all the equipment and then I move it all the way up to 20 or 30, sometimes 40 if I'm really feeling it.
If you're really feeling it.
Sometimes I can do 50 if I'm really, really feeling it. But, I'm not the strongest person. So I chose to specialize
in shooting guns.
Programming.
Oh, close enough.
And, organization.
Yeah. So on the note of things going on and craziness, what's funny is some people are saying, and I've seen this time and again now, you're like, this is the most important election of our lifetime. I'm like, actually,
where have you been? You're older than me.
Hold on. Move back. Oh, this was the most important one. This was no. Oh, this was the most important one, folks. If you missed that one, that was it. And now it's over. So this was your chance back when Ron Paul,
God bless Ron
was
Paul.
actually
He's still alive,
healthy, full of life. He wasn't 89 years old and barely holding on. This was 2008. That was the time. That was the most important one. That was it.
Trump is not like Ron Paul. I don't care how you're voting.
Yeah.
If you say Trump is like Ron Paul, I'm going to say you're wrong. Yeah. Okay. Just because Ron Paul covered him and JD Vance on his show that he doesn't even orchestrate and choose the topics for. He just responds. Like, that's not the same. Where is Trump literally debating true status and going, no, here's how we're going to end the Federal Reserve. Income taxation is theft and blah, blah, blah. Here's why it's immoral. Oh, we're going to end the war on drugs. Oh, we're going to end all these wars. Where is he doing that? No, more often you see him flirting with the idea or playing with the idea or considering the idea of ending one of the taxes. It's just like, no, there's no comparison.
Yeah, it's just kind of silly because to me, I look at it more as a total picture thing that with the federal government and how bad things are, I don't think, generally speaking, in terms of hope for the federal government. Especially not since that time. By and large, I look at it and I see the Social Security issue, that being, basically unpayable, the federal debt, the number of lobbyists and special interests, and the size of the federal government in terms of total workers. It seems like something that is darn near impossible to overcome unless you actually have that many people who in the culture of change where it's like crazy and you're like having multiple states going at it with nullification. Also, it's that bad. That's why to me, I'm just like, it's kind of a circus. This is kind of just like the joke, circus show. And, you really got to focus on your local, you really got to focus on what's going on with your family, closer down to state and things like that, where you might actually have a chance of trying to resist a collapsing or more violent federal empire. That's just being more realistic, right?
You're saying compared to, like, you're saying basically individual decentralization, like anonymous sort of rebellion, as opposed to putting yourself out there and saying, I'm running for this. Here's all my beliefs. Come get me, guys. Like, like literally that's kind of what you're saying to the feds in DC. You're like, hey, I'm here to, challenge you openly and brazenly. And we see how that happens. And what's more powerful is truly a decentralized resistance that's also anonymous the best that you can. Like, and that's why I was saying technologies to further human freedom are really important. And so if you're like, oh, do I run for office? I don't know. Maybe you like coding. You could be a freedom coder and try to really change the world on that way, or an engineer or some other person who's like building infrastructure and trying to challenge things that way. But yeah, is that what you're saying? Basically political versus like private and focusing on.
Well, I want to say two things. So hold on. First thing, just to respond to what you're saying, I'm saying more so that when it comes to the federal government, the amount of entrenched interest, the size of it is so ridiculously huge and unsustainable. The amount of effort it would take, it's so much more than just one position or couple positions. I mean, it is a whole revolution level. So realistically, I'm saying you're going to need that type of cultural swell, and you're probably going to see those effects percolate more so in your local community or even at a state level against federal level resistance. I think that is more likely than, oh yes, we got enough people in office somehow magically kind of thing. It's just, I just think it's not very realistic in terms of time and progression. Right. But I want to address something really quick.
Totally agree.
High Society Drum Labs here. Thank you so much for your super chat. That was very generous of you. So let's see what he's got going on here. He says, freedom units for you from America's most rigid and powerful robot, Liberty Prime. Liberty Prime. Wait. Is that the Liberty Prime?
Is this the Liberty Prime, or is it another Liberty Prime?
I know, I'm confused because we know someone else who actually goes by Liberty Prime, but it's a white guy, and that does not look like a white guy. So I'm like,
that
wait,
doesn't look like the Liberty Prime we know. Prime. Are you being like Sal the Agorist right now?
It's reverse, yeah.
Wait, so he says, who is he? Mac Dre? Is that who he is?
He uses Mac Dre as a profile picture.
Right.
I don't know. We'll find out in a second, what it is. So he says, God bless Emperor Trump in America. Ron Paul is better. Yes, Ron Paul is 100% better. Bernie Ron Paul, tables, and ladders,
Fed,
chairs,
and the Fed, and the Fed, and the Fed. That's what we do. When you see Ron Paul speak, what do you do, fellow ANCAPs, libertarians, voluntaries, individualists, conservatives, whatever, RLC people? You go, and the Fed, and the Fed. And you say, long live Ron Paul, because God bless him, he's still alive.
I mean, yeah, I think that I personally, so, I'm critical of one aspect to, what's going on with political pandering. My issue is I think that when you're pandering and it's like 2 weeks out, week out from election, and that's the first time you're talking about an issue, that's a bit disingenuous. You're clearly just saying whatever you can to win. But especially
if it's not on your website.
Right.
And you don't
at
least edit your website.
I do appreciate that there are people who are joining in the fray and sharing that message. I do appreciate there are people who are like, oh yes, and attracting attention. I just don't think that is sustainable, and it will be co-opted by the political side of things, right? There's a big difference between someone who's doing something as a media figure, or someone who's doing something as a reporter, or someone who's doing something as a creator, and oh, hey, there's an election and I'm trying to just get everybody to support me, and then they're going to do something else with that. Right. So that's a big difference. So we do love that more people are actually opening up to the ideas of ending the Fed and ending the income tax.
We love it. It's beautiful. I started this over 9 years ago, and it's so much more now.
Yeah. It's just a matter of getting people to be consistent in that, because it is way easy. And we've seen that, this day, we've seen it in the past, and we're going to see in the future, where people get excited about the idea, but then they lose traction of that consistency because they don't get grounded in the economics. They don't get grounded in the ethics and the principles. And then they get carried away by any political sway. And
First and foremost, philosophy.
So, yes, you need philosophy. So,
sorry, go on.
So thank you so much, High Side Drum Labs.
Yeah, thank you.
And he said, also Koreans' wings are superior. I'm taking he means the Korean barbecue wings and not just, their elbows here. No.
Wait, what are you comparing? Compared to what? Every assertion is,
compared to what
statement? So tell me.
Alex! I mean, they're very Americana though. Like Korean barbecue wings are more. I know. I saw. We're gonna give it. Just say it. They're more. I don't want to lose your thought. You're a squirrel. You're like a squirrel.
You're like Korean wings.
We're gonna have to inject
Dude, it's a watch party. What do you want?
With some.
So soupy.
We're going to give you some male vitality.
No!
And that way you'll be extra
focused. Ma'am.
Ma'am vitality.
It's ma'am.
So,
it's ma'am.
Man, that's a sharp nail. Have you been sharpening your nail?
Well, say it. It's ma'am. I'm going to kick this book stand over.
Yeah, good luck.
Ow, my toes!
I don't know. I can't even right now. I don't even know what's going on.
It's called a watch party. It's called everyone in the freaking US is going to be.
Oh my gosh.
That's literally. Do you not feel that on 4th of July?
I don't feel like it's 4th of July. I feel it's more like Halloween, but instead of candy, you get razor blades.
What's the difference between today and 4th of July? It's another political ritual, so to speak, and you're still not getting more free. It's not like there's actually a revolution on 4th of July. Okay, so it's kind of like today. People are like partying, and they're like America.
The America.
So anyway, it's Tuesday. I think it's cool. Alex is here.
Yeah, so Alex is my boy. He's super cool. If you see there, I actually took that picture. He's one of my groomsmen, and he has a really incredible band called Free Knots. So you should definitely check out Free Knots. He'll mention that in the chat. They do some good raps, and they've been quite a few things, out there. So they got some cool videos.
We saw him and Silver Stacks,
and they performed in DC. Yeah, that was super cool.
In DC for the LNC for an underground party.
Did you guys vote or not? I haven't voted in like over a decade, man. So
I wrote in Ron Paul again.
Yeah, she wrote Ron Paul again. Oh man, watch it. Yeah. So it says, I hope Trump unveils multiple kaiju and international tensions. See, now that would be a much more realistic way to destroy the global economy than tariffs, right? Because, tariffs is just, confusing people, and they think that they're getting richer, even though they're actually spending more. At least when you send out multiple kaiju, you know that your whole city is getting destroyed. It's very clear.
No, that's terrible. You know how kaijus were brought about, specifically Gojira? Well, the OG story is nukes. So no, we don't want to drop nukes, guys. No.
We ain't dropping nukes. We're just dropping truth. So as you can see here, the truth is that no matter what happens, it's very important that you take your kids out of state schools. That's what I told people today. I said, I don't care who wins. If you're not getting your kids out of state schools, then then you're literally setting your kids up to be brainwashed by a bunch of socialists.
That's
and
right.
And possibly turned into, the next new pronoun that's going to be made up next year, whatever it's going to be. There's going to be, a whole new slew of them. They're going to make them memorize those. So get your kids out of state schools where they're literally trying to confuse them,
sex education
and turn them into a bunch of
way too early ages.
Exactly. It's crazy.
It's crazy. It's crazy. It's not right. Telling kids to such a young age about using birth control and all these products. I mean,
I like this here. He says, "Yep, my son is by a 9th grade level." Yeah, that's literally the next step of where we're at in state schools. I mean, that's San Francisco probably right now. You're like, I've achieved this proficiency in my gender fluidity today. I mean, it's so insane. It really is crazy. And I saw a little bit of it when I was teaching, not a lot. Like I just, the edges, because I was in a
there for part
more
of
conservative place, but I could see, in other places, and I still do because I have, students still. Through a tutor company. It's crazy what they're putting on these kids. So you got to get them out of there. You get them out of state school. No matter what this is, no matter what this ends up being tonight, you need to immediately get your kids out of state schools, no matter what it takes. There's ways to do it. My Honest Teacher page.
Don't send them to be abused.
Yeah.
Check out the Honest Teacher. Check out our book.
Unschooling, homeschooling. There's co-ops. There's so many ways. Just take that first step and get them out of there.
Yeah. I would say if you really just want a quick, and it's fun story, it's meant for kids who can read, at a basic, level. And I think it's a great way. It's a great introduction to just be like, what does it mean to be free to learn? What do we mean when we say self-directed learning? And, part of it is basically having a space for children where their individual consent and property rights are respected as well and maximized within the limits of, their parents are watching over them. They're their parents. And so they're choosing to send them to, for example, if they sent them to a self-directed learning center or another sort of, maybe it's like a homeschooling cooperative where they practice self-directed learning and have that as the way that kids are allowed to learn. And it's basically just giving a place for children to be free to then just self-direct their own learning, and ideally with, lots of toys and resources, books, computers with, rules on usage and, limits and all that on the internet, especially. It can be done now more than ever. We live in the most connected we've ever been globally in the world. It's a beautiful thing, if you really think about it. Like, it's really beautiful, and don't let these fears of a one world NWO freak you out, because part of what we can do is, if you make the culture that we really care about each other as individual human beings, and that we enforce and value individual body and property rights, we can really have like the most beautiful world we have ever seen, at least for recorded human history. And if you look back at human history, it is one of disease, strife, talk about FUD, fear, uncertainty, doubt, distress, all the time, wars, famine, filth. It really is something to be thankful for, especially if you have clean water, ability to regulate the temperature, in your own home, shelter from the elements, whether it's a hurricane or tornadoes or rain or snow. It's really something to be thankful for, and also to fight for. And how you fight for it is you fight for what enabled it, which is the respect of individual body and property rights. It's no coincidence that the most prosperous societies have the most property rights respected, if you compare around the world. And you have to compare in certain areas, like certain markets in China, for example, under the CCP, are technically more free market and less regulated. So you have to actually compare in that event, and that the more that property rights are respected, the more that people feel the incentive to save and to create and to be happy and to build and create life, basically, and a better life for us all. So it's really something to value and to champion, and to help people with compassion, but also boundaries, especially because some people are just too toxic, and you gotta set boundaries, and some people have gone too far, to the extreme of violence, murder, etc. You have to set boundaries, and then sometimes really defend your life and your property and the lives of those that you love. And so really that's all we're saying, property rights.
That's all we're saying.
Life's beautiful.
And on top of that, we got, lots of good things still to do, right? So a big part of, what frustrates me when it comes to, looking at this a map and elections and all the stuff that goes on, is that there's so much of our lives that is wasted on people fighting over who should rule them, who should steal from them, who gets to send their kids to war, who gets to indoctrinate them, who gets to steal from their future earnings, who gets to put them into a prison just because they have a plant. It's just so annoying and so frustrating that so much of our lives and our resources and our time is sucked up on this stupid, political pony show. It's frustrating, right? It really is. So many resources are lost to this nonsense. And so, it's just a reminder that no matter what is going on, remember that you don't have to get lost in that nuisance and despair. You can keep on focusing on those who are doing good things, steward toward those who love liberty, enjoy life, build, and especially think of how you build outside the state. Savings in an inflationary dollar, not the best idea, right? Market money, Austrian economics, gold, and things like that might be a little bit better to resist the inflation. You want to definitely connect with anyone you can. If you know any local farmers or anything like that, you have a connection for healthy food. You want to make sure that you do whatever you can to kind of see how you can take care of yourself in an emergency. A little bit of prepping goes a long way. It doesn't mean you have to be ready for like 3 years, which, of course, that's a nice thing to have, but not everybody can get there from day one. But, even just little things. You have life straws, you have a little bit of emergency supplies.
Any amount makes a difference.
Exactly. You take
any amount that's that many more days that you can survive.
Exactly. You take care of your needs.
SHTF scenario.
Exactly. Yes. Right. You take care of your needs, prepare, get what you can out of state control, hope for the best, but always prepare for the worst. And that's how you make it out through these tough situations. But on that note of, enjoy yourself in the interim, Gordon here did say something.
Ron Paul always says that, you know that?
He does.
At the end of his speech.
He does.
He's like, make sure when you run. Sorry, he doesn't talk like that at all. But he's like, make sure when you run that, you're having fun. Because what's the point of living if you're not having fun, but also be principled? Like, he's like,
right.
He's like, don't focus on power, focus on principles. And if you get power, that's great. But really, it's about changing minds, which is a form of power. It's just not like what you're thinking about. Like, I got this office that, in the system that I was coerced to be a part of, and forced to be a part of. And I think, like you were saying, what is frustrating at the core of it is not that how people choose to spend their money in this, whatever, choosing whoever's popular, focused on people, and saying, I want to focus on this. Like, specifically, we are all forced to fund through taxation and inflation these specific rituals and elections and all this debating about never actually having liberty, never actually having property rights, but actually to fear you, because this is all part of the same system, corporate press, which is many ties to the state, is all focused on making you scared to give up more of your property rights and to keep being distracted so that you don't go, oh my God, why am I paying over 50% in taxes effectively through income, sales, property, whatever, licensing that you have to do, renewal, all those things add up. And then the most hidden, insidious one is inflation. Inflation is a tax. Technically, you are forced to use this currency. You're forced to use US dollars, and because you have to pay your taxes in it. Right. And, they control the money supply and they print it at will. And who gets the initial perceived value of those dollars when the market is as it is, right? When they printed the money, it's those in government and those who have businesses that get money from the state. So, we have to expose that. And really, that's the core, is taxation and inflation. I don't know if there's anything else, but it's kind of like that's what funds this monstrosity.
Definitely. And a part of helping to move out of that is specifically being conscious and focusing your energy, time, efforts, and resources into things that are more productive and more outside the state and more in line with your values. Like, it's not that hard to sit there and go and say, okay, I want to steward in that parallel economy, whether it's something that's more of a need, maybe it's something you need in terms of website design. You have a liberty oriented company. Maybe you just need coffee. Like, we have CJ Roasting. They make some great roasts, and they're a great sponsor of our show, and they make some good coffee, right? It
smells so good, their coffee.
Exactly. Like, you have people who are out there in the market and they love liberty, and it's wonderful to be able to support those people, because now you're actually helping to further that and further them and further the message. And so, I was noting before that Gordon here said, looking forward to Mishi Michalak. And I thought that was pretty cool, because that is one of the new things that we do
LFG
coming
Gordon,
out.
Good brother.
So as you can see here, this is a little teaser of VolunCap One Shot. So this is a website that's going to be the kind of the landing page is a teaser page that you can check out now if you'd like, voluncap.com. And if you go there, you'll be able to sign up to be notified when that gets launched. But it's just one more little thing that we do as a part of being in the culture.
I'm so excited.
Helping to encourage people to think about, training. So it's like a series that is both entertainment, but it's also some nods about, how you train.
Drawing from our real lived experience.
Exactly.
Right before SHTF, and there are all these riots, and then ammo prices shot up and people are freaking out, needing to get armed for the first time. And so it's nice to be able to try and inspire the next generations.
And so, in addition to that, we also have our current Voluntarius Suit Saga campaign, which has been doing amazingly. We're at 70% right now. And it's been amazing to see so many people come in. In fact, right now, one of our artists who's been with us for a long time, in fact, he's Rippaverse's lead graphic designer, Igor Teixeira. He's here right now. He says, hoping for a good farewell for you guys and all goes well.
Hey.
So thank you so much, Igor, for your help. He actually is the one who did our holofoil variant cover on this campaign. So you can kind of see, if I got to go far down, but you can see here's the one filled in with color. Obviously, it's going to be holofoil, but Igor is an amazingly talented artist, and he's a part of that parallel economy. He's there with Rippaverse, and Rippaverse is Eric July's project, and they're providing people with an amazing entertainment set of different characters that has been very successful and has been what people have wanted to see, outside of the nonsense from, Disney and DC and Marvel. I mean, it's seriously, it's like every new character is, hey, here's Batman with his new pronouns, or here's Superman as a climate activist. It's so ridiculous. So it's nice to see just some great storytelling out there, whether Igor's doing that work with Rippaverse or here with Voluntarius. And so, if you are a part of that, not only do you get to see what we have cooking, but in there's also advertisers in the parallel economy, people who love liberty, who are offering things from CBD products, to pre-search, web search engine, to coffee, to, whatever. We have a whole bunch of different people who are part of this. So it's just awesome to see that when you see people coming together on liberty terms, who actually want to, grow that culture and grow that economy, it's just a wonderful thing. You don't have to be tied to all the crony corporate, different legacy media companies and different legacy producers. We're at that point now where there are just that many people who are able to be a part of providing the alternative. For so long, people were like, oh, you say you love liberty and you say, oh, don't support the state, but what else is there? Well, guess what? There are alternatives now. And so it's just becoming more and more prevalent. It's just incredible. Igor just, is really amazing and a part of that as well. So thank you so much for coming by and saying hi. Oh, and apparently Flip City.
Yeah, thanks, too. Igor. Oh,
yeah.
Cool. Oh, that's a cool logo. Flip
City.
Yeah.
So, did I say that wrong? Nice pronunciation.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Teixeira?
I always say it wrong because I always is it Tixeira? I always say it wrong whenever I try to say it. Put the pronunciation there. I nailed it. Okay.
Say it again.
Teixeira?
Teixeira.
Okay, yeah. Okay. I get scared because
obrigado.
I know because I haven't had Spanish in such a long time, and
it's Portuguese.
I'm like,
it's Portuguese, right?
Portuguese, well, Brazil, yeah, Portuguese, but it's kind of, there's some similarities, there's some crossovers, but
it's still different.
Yeah, I always get nervous about messing up that name.
Korean is not Chinese, guys. I am not Korean. I am Chinese.
You are Chinese.
What, you think we look alike? Sorry, Dave Chappelle, so good.
Oh man.
Cool, Gordon, good brother.
He said, "Buff naked devil men." Igor, way to go. Well, yeah, that's the bad guy. It's so funny because it's like, hey, who's that? There's this devilish looking character. I'm like, yeah, that's called the bad guy.
Buff.
Are you
naked? Don't worry, he's not naked. He has shorts or whatever.
Yeah, he has clothes. He's not naked. He has pants on. It's just.
I agree. It is startling. That's why I prefer cover A. Cover A is like, wow, this is rich. This is awesome. Who's that in the top left? Who is that? Who are these people? Yeah, IRA.
Who are these people?
Is it IRA?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a little part of it. You will kind of figure it out. It's
okay.
I don't want to spoil anything here, but I mean,
flag,
I guess you could see a little
bit.
You
see the Irish?
Yeah, you see this definitely got some Irish themes going on in there. It's got some Irish themes.
Well, that's what I love. I think it's so great. And then you see cover B and C, which are really cool. I want the holofoil.
Yeah.
I'm just saying it's just a little startling because I associate that with Satan.
Oh, they're going to say Biden. Yes, of course. Yeah, it's a bad guy.
He is way more lucid. He's breaking walls. He's not talking to him.
But yeah, it's just really cool to see, how far we've come, and we even have our animated trailer showcasing that. So that's something to check out too. Definitely, go to the site,
You've
check out
come
that
so far.
animated trailer. Check out, and two, if you want to see on on Fund My Comic, we were on Indiegogo, but we're also on Fund My Comic. And for those who don't know, Fund My Comic is a free speech oriented platform. They came in response to censorship on Kickstarter. So we have a few backers there. Obviously, the main one's on Indiegogo, so you can go either or. But it's the same stuff there overall. You can get all the same perks. If you want to, support someone who is in that parallel economy, just I was talking about, Fund My Comic is that. They're free speech oriented. They don't police, people's campaigns. It's just, hey, as long as you're not violating people's rights, you're good to go. So if you want to support them and support us on there, it's a great thing to check out and also to see other liberty oriented comics. So I'll link that down in the chat as well, so you can take a look at both the Fund My Comic and the Indiegogo. But I've just been so grateful to everyone who's joined in so far.
That's great.
We have 30 days left. It's halfway over, and we're way past halfway funded. We're, hitting at the 70% mark. So this is just amazing to see. So thank you, everybody, for that.
Thank you so
Make sure to
much.
check out Voluncat as well. So,
Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah, definitely.
Here.
I want
Bangers and mash vibes. So let's see. I'm gonna shoot this down the link below.
So if that's really you, Liberty Prime, I don't know
Is
if
it?
it's the same one,
No, it's
because
not.
I didn't
No
know
way.
he had a kid.
It can't be the same Liberty Prime. That's a whole different. No
really?
way.
It's different, right?
Gotta be.
Really?
Oh yeah,
All
Fund My
right.
Comic. Well, yeah, exactly. So Fund My Comic, and also I tried them out for the last time. Fund My Comic. I was nervous because I'm like, okay, this is new, so I'm really trusting them. But everything was smooth. The interface was fine. Everything processed fine. Everyone's orders went through no problem. I was able to ship out everybody's perks without a hitch, not a single issue. So I can personally, having used
great.
Fund My Comic, if you're interested in using Fund My Comic for yourself, I would personally vouch for it now, having used it and been successful with no issue whatsoever. Everything is working well. So
it's easy to download all the people that supported and ship them the
yeah, the
perks,
Excel
the address and all
that they have for the sheet, everything comes out
Nice.
clearly. There's no issues, no glitches. So yeah, I really have no complaints. It's overall.
Those are
functional
software
alternative.
engineers for Liberty right there.
That's right. Ron Button says, "Are you guys in the libertarian made video games?" Yeah,
Everything. Those are
Of
also
course.
software
We
engineers
like
for
it.
Liberty.
we like quality, of course, too. It's got something just like anything else. We like quality,
Right.
but
Exactly.
definitely, I think BioShock's pretty libertarian right there.
I
Yeah.
gotta say, I really do love how far things have come with the Voluntarius comic series in the universe. Voluncap is actually the first own character in the Voluntarius universe that's not Jack, that's the main protagonist. So it's really cool to see one of the characters have her own, series. And of course, you could have chosen any character, but in terms of just where we're at as Americans who love liberty, property rights, guns, the ability to defend ourselves, it's really cool to see just a comic like this. And it also for me illustrates the beauty that is the market of firearms, as restricted as it is. You should be able to just walk right in there and get a full auto and a suppressor, and protect your hearing, gosh, and fend off hordes of,
That's
of tyrants.
And we're gonna need that more than ever coming up. So
Yeah, exactly. You may have seen many memes this election season of different libertarians, ANCAPs, whatever, anarchists being like, no one's coming to save you. And it's really about that theme of what we're talking about, which is self-ownership, self-sufficiency, self-responsibility, self-knowledge. If you're talking about philosophy, and first just knowing yourself before you really try to understand what is the world and what's true or not. And it's really important.
it is really important. Did you lose your train of thought there? You're like fading out. You're like,
It's been a long day.
It's been a long day. It's been a long
I've
day.
been up for over 12 hours.
Oh wow, you've been up for over 12 hours? That means I've been up for over 12 hours because I've been up as long as you.
It is almost time
Igor
for
said,
this fur to sleep.
it's almost time for the fun to sleep. He said, I saw Florida turn red, so I'm gonna rise it. Yeah, Florida has been red for
No, you don't want to have a
24 years.
riot here.
No, and
There
plus
are no riots.
The riot thing in Florida, no riots. You would get so lit up so fast in Florida. Like Florida is lots of people carrying. It's not a place
big
that
culture of.
And we also we had in just recent history, we've literally had the driver bill. Like, so it's a bill protecting if someone's in the street and tries to stop your car, you can basically drive over them to protect yourself. Like you're protected if someone tries to, protest.
Oh
bash
yeah,
your
like
car.
Break your windows.
We have castle doctrine. We literally have stand your ground. It's like every little thing you could possibly want to be like, do not mess with Florida, man. We have that. We just got partial, permitless carry. Florida's still lagging behind on the open carry thing that we have it for limited things, but we did just get without, permit thing, the concealed carry. So that was, again, one more thing of people being able to freely just carry without being bothered, not having to pay anything, not permission slips, none of that. So Florida is not a place you want to mess around.
Yeah, we need to open carry next, but that's great to have concealed.
We keep moving. We keep moving.
That's great.
But it's not a place you want to mess around like that. What you saw in other leftist states, if you tried pulling that in Florida, you're going to get lit up. So it's not a good idea.
People tend to stay strapped here.
So Igor also asked, because I love this, because Igor's, obviously he's not in America. So these are questions, especially because we did actually have someone before saying they were watching from international. If you're watching this from outside the US, let us know. I'd love to hear if people are watching this from other countries. But I said, are you expecting backlash from the left if Trump gets elected, like riot stuff? Yes, we were actually talking about this before. Absolutely. Most certainly. We do expect that if Trump does win in whichever way, there's probably going to be some types of riots, things, getting lit on fire in some places. Just knowing the culture and knowing kind of how the media has pushed people up on this, most definitely. Just probably not around us.
I agree, yeah. And I don't know if I could call them all, quote, leftists. I think many people are just like your average sheep who's been in the public schooling system, and then they look at, the corporate news all the time, and they're just propagandized to be extremely afraid of, I think, what it would be in this case is Trump. And to think that Harris is the savior, and that if she doesn't get in, you're going to have this, oh my gosh, like nobody's going to be able to be free. Women's rights are going to, like all this fear mongering is definitely there. And on the side, at least, of like, you look at mainstream comedy shows, late night shows, whatever, SNL. Oh my gosh, we saw that SNL skit, which is, it was so like, bad. It's Trump so and Kamala, and all they did was make fun of her laugh, because all the memes, you can't escape it. If you don't talk about her laugh, you're just pretending to be blind, at that point. So they made fun of her laugh, but otherwise she's there. She gets to be there at the actual skit. They didn't have Trump on, and she's there, and she gets like this great promo piece of like, oh, she's basically, your buddy. She's going to be the first woman, and she's your friend, and she's awesome. Let's do this. Like, female energy. Like, literally, that is like, I saw it, and I totally get that that's what the culture would be. And then how did they paint Trump? Right? He's this womanizer. He grabs girls, and they even made that joke by the vote or whatever they made, whatever joke it was in SNL. But you grab them by the politics or whatever. I can't remember the P word they said, but they're just, that's what they're saying. They're painting him out to be that way, when in truth, they're both terrible. They both want to grow the state and the federal government. And like we were talking about earlier, Trump considers the libertarian ideas, but again, you don't see him like Ron Paul was in 2008 and 2012. And I missed all that because I was an indoctrinated status in the public schooling system and being like, oh, Obama, he's great. Let's do it. I'm Seattle Democrat. And that's, I forgot what I was saying.
You forgot what you were saying?
Yeah.
You want me to help you?
Yeah, help.
Help?
Line.
So you're doing SNL, and then you're talking about what they were saying at SNL. Oh, well, you were
talking about SNL.
Yeah, they said the grab by the P word, except it wasn't politics.
No, I know. And then I talked about
all right,
Seattle Democrat.
Right. So what was she saying, chat?
Chat can't help.
I don't
All
know.
right, pop quiz, everybody.
I don't know what direction you're taking that in.
But okay, my whole point of SNL was just
think?
like the current. I remember the current corporate press and the mainstream media and the current dominant culture of celebrities in Hollywood, namely California, are all like Kamala Harris. She's the one. She's a savior, and Trump is just this demon. When in reality, they're really both terrible and want to grow the federal government. And they more just have different flavors of, you could say, statism, like what they're willing to do. Trump is willing, showed he was willing to keep Fauci up on stage and promote him and give him credibility through all that time, when you would think someone in his position as an executive would be like, hey, I order you to stop violating the rights of Americans and locking them down, and mandating that they get vaccinated and show their papers more. I mean, there's so much more that could have been done, and it really shows you what side he was on and who he really is. He is an authoritarian populist, and you have Kamala Harris, who's an authoritarian socialist.
Yeah, and I want to just be more specific because I think that you're just only scratching the surface.
Definitely.
The real thing that is going on when it comes to the rhetoric of what Trump has said, and I think this has been missed, right? Because in all the media blitzes and in all the different, oh, look, he shared this meme, all this other stuff, people haven't been paying attention to the rhetoric. They haven't been paying attention to how they're framing it. And when you look at it and you actually take the package together and you look at everything that's being said, a lot of it is about, we want to make the government efficient. And you're like, okay, efficient, but efficient to do what? And then you start looking at it and they say, okay, you just want to have the government spend money on your right things, whatever, those programs are going to be. And when you listen to Trump, he's like, we're not touching Social Security. I'm going to make the strongest American military we've ever had. You know what I mean? He's not meaningfully saying, yeah, we're going to abolish all these different agencies. He literally wants a powerful state to control. And so...
May I just add?
Yeah.
Elon Musk, carbon tax. Still have yet to see him say, I was wrong. Shouldn't have done a TED talk on it, saying we're in a crisis and that we need carbon taxation.
Well, I mean, with
and
Elon,
he's like, no, make me the head of this new agency called the Department of Efficiency, not AFWERA. Okay. Or basically cutting government agencies and actually ending violations on our rights, taxation, inflation, the Federal Reserve System, and all that. Like,
right? It's not the Department of Government Disbandment. You know what I mean?
It just wants to make government work a little better.
Right.
That's it. We're gonna improve the software because look, I got software engineers at X, and they know software development life cycles, and I'm gonna have them run these websites better. No, we don't need theft systems run better. We need theft systems abolished and ended. Gosh, I wish we could just write in Javier Milei and he's like, oh, what? I'm the winner. Uh-huh. And he's like, afuera. Like he comes in like, okay, let me study everything. Yeah. Oh my God, this is way harder than Argentina to deal with.
It's just funny because they associate Trump with things that he's not doing and saying, with people who are fans of him. And they're saying some of these things, and maybe they met Trump a few times, but it's not Trump who's doing it. And I said this on the LCI show I was just on before this. Nice. I said, you have to do the economics of the unmeme, right? And in economics, we know the economics of the unseen. You can't just look at what's in front of you. You have to think about the consequences that are unseen. So I say, as a meme specialist, look at the unmeme. What memes are you not looking at because you're so focused at the liberty angle and that pandering? And you have to keep scrolling. It's like, oh, look, he said that. Now keep scrolling. Look at who else he's promoting. Look at their agendas that he's promoting, right? You can't just stop and say, oh, he pandered to me. That's it. That's the end. There's all these other different interests and all these other different groups that are also coming to do handshake deals and hope to get their bone. So when you do that, you start to see a bigger picture. And what you see is that, Trump is essentially this authoritarian nationalist. He doesn't want the more global governance that Kamala and, that kind of grouping would be a part of, that kind of global government thing. He's more the American nationalist, but he still wants that strong American empire government. So you can sit there and say, okay, well, that's maybe better than the empire in terms of trying to give more power out to global government. Sure, of course. It doesn't make the problems less, right? It's not making, oh, well, the government's less bad. It's still becoming even stronger and becoming a stronger, more enriched apparatus with which to enslave you, right? So, Elon Musk here, I look at his rhetoric too. I'm like, okay, it's nice that he's saying all these things with Ron Paul. He's like, oh yeah, we got to cut the government maybe 80%, $2 trillion. I'm like, that's real nice. But then you also look at,
we're so close to the election,
right? Exactly.
I'm like, where were you 2 years ago? 1 year ago? I mean, heck,
you have to look at the rest of his other stuff, right? He's
2 months ago.
Look at SpaceX contracts, right? And you look at what he does. It's funny there. Is Elon Musk saying we need to defund NASA? Is he saying, oh, we should abolish NASA? No. Why? Because in truth, the reality is he would like the efficiency to be allocated to things like Mars projects and government contracts. Right. So once you get past that and you start to see, okay, this is really what's happening, it's more like hey, we don't like spending money on these things. And in some cases, it might be better if there was less warfare support, great, but it's just shifting it to different avenues. The same thing with the Maha stuff. Like, go look at RFK's own platform before and go look at his Maha stuff. And when you read it, it's all about, hey, the government should ban these things. We want to make America healthy by the government controlling healthcare more, right? And when you see that, you're like, oh, okay, the Make America Healthcare or healthy again is by government banning, controlling,
of course it is.
Steeping. It is not get the government out of subsidizations, get the government out of the contracting entirely, get the government out of picking winners and losers.
Yep.
Right. So you have to peel back that stuff and actually go look at what they're saying themselves. Yep. Go look at their platforms and read it for yourself.
But you need principles, because otherwise you'll be like, no, that sounds great. Yeah, why not? Universal healthcare? I like healthcare. What's wrong with that?
What's wrong? You don't like healthcare? Literally,
that's how it goes. Oh. That's why they named them as such, these bills. Yeah. The Patriot Act. What is this? Wasn't that the formation of the TSA? Is that the one? Patriot Act?
They came later, but on the heels of that stuff,
whatever one that was. It's like, oh no, actually, this is called. It's not like Protecting Americans or something. I think
it was 2003. I can pull it up real quick. Let me see.
It was right after 9/11 in 2001. But
oh wait, no, 2001 was TSA. Maybe that was DHS. I just confused that with.
Yeah, I thought they gave it
was. I'm looking this up right now. Yeah, 2003 was I switched that around my head. DHS was established, began operations in March 1st, 2003, and TSA came, 2001, right?
Right in 2001.
Yeah,
exactly.
Oh no, and, we're gonna make.
And it's called the Transportation Security Act, right? So you go, right. Oh, okay, it's just about making transportation safe. You don't want it safe. You're against this. What's wrong with you? And it's all intentional to just name it that way. So that's why you have to read the bills and also have a lens of valuing and wanting individual body and property rights so that you can see it for what it is, which is this monopoly on violence that you were forced to live under just because you happen to live within their geographical borders. I forgot what I was saying.
What's going on?
Tired.
You tired? What's going on?
I am tired.
Oh no!
But I see you're focused on writing there. But
Patriot Act. You're talking about the Patriot Act. TSA. Act.
And they name it that way to make you think that it's for security, but you have to read it with the lens of property rights. Is what I was saying. I forgot what I was going to add in addition, but whatever. I'll just leave it at that. Maybe I'll think about it later. But yeah, all right. What's up, Kareem? We got Kareem in the house. We got Jason. Kareem has the forever no shave November. It's that month again where different dudes, maybe women, try their hands at some beards.
This is Trump pulled us out of endless war. Yeah, he wants an empire. How did he pull us out of endless war? He sent troops to the embassy in 2020. He literally continued the war in Yemen. He literally supported Afghanistan in 2019 more than Israel with more money.
And he definitely would support Israel and what
he literally added on the Space Force, a whole new government agency. So that's comedic. I laugh. Oh, and on top of that, of course, endless war. I'm pretty sure that Operation Warp Speed was pretty much the biggest warfare on the American people in the longest amount of time when you consider
domestic
how
warfare.
Many people through the funding of Pfizer, 10 billion, ended up being harmed by his policies while he was in office and that he continued to promote for years and years after by basically and then suddenly right, without mess with the algorithms here. You get the idea. So I'm pretty sure that was a warfare that is a lot more deadly than a lot of other conflicts and dropping bombs that ended up doing a lot more damage. So it's kind of nonsense. In truth,
yeah, that's a great point, and that's often overlooked when you look at domestic warfare. He also was the one who was like saying, yeah, we need to do due process later, take the guns first. I mean, he literally said that.
Bump stock warfare.
And how is that not
was literally
an additional war against Americans? Anything that is war on guns, drugs, education,
he
whatever.
Directed the ATF literally to do it. It's not like would somebody do this? He's like, hey, ATF, go do this.
Yeah, these are actually wars at home when they wage it on, they say, it's on nicotine, it's on fentanyl, whatever the war they say the current boogeyman is, COVID, with the lockdowns. You're like, oh my God.
She's saying the word. I can only hope that we can hide in the election day. It's like there's too many election streams. They can't get us all, can they?
Basketball.
Baseball, yeah.
Football.
How you like them sports?
What do you think of the National Football League?
Confuse it.
Okay, anyway, but yeah, exactly.
That's the point.
But yeah.
So it's just crazy out there. It's a bunch of people who are basically putting false hopes because they're desperate. Understandable. I get it. Inflation's high, things are uncertain. You're constantly being propagandized by the media, including the libertarian media. Like every 5 seconds, like, you need to click on this article because, oh my gosh, it's going to be World War III tomorrow. It's just like, dude, there's not World War III, tomorrow. Stop. It's just so annoying. Like, yes, the government is constantly killing people, murdering people, stuff like that. But literally, people have lived through World War I, the Vietnam War, and stuff like that, and life goes on. You know what I mean? It's not, everyone makes it seem like this is it. It's all over with all the clickbait fear mongering. So that cycle of being in a constant fear-based mentality literally causes people to not actually do things to steward for the future. It makes them short-sighted and not trying to do things to actually pull their kids out of school and to actually do things to save and to do things to survive catastrophe if the government does something economically bad or this or that. You know what I mean? Because it's just the nature of how it goes. It's not like, oh, okay, there's a war and then everybody in the planet dies. And that was it. The end of the story. All right, new book. All right. People survive bubonic plague. They survive all kinds of crazy stuff. Yes, lots of people die, but do you want to survive?
Well, the question is, how did they survive?
Oh,
right. You don't want to live in fear. You want to actually be one of the people who survived. And how did they do it? They focused on building things and providing value in the market. And, this idea of a parallel economy, where you actually still try to build things despite there being taxation and all these regulations, and you still try to grow and trade with other human beings voluntarily, your property or your labor. And I think that's what
I'm just seeing if you're going to forget again.
I know. That's
You're so tired. You're so tired. All these breads and circuses.
Well, hopefully that helped the person who commented
all these breads and circuses.
Oh, what do you mean? Trump ends all the wars. No, he didn't.
Speaking of bread and circuses, let's take a look at this bread and circus right now. What's it at? All right, we got 178 for Trump, 99 for Harris. What's that going to be? This still boggles my mind. Oh, actually, look at that. That's a little nicer spread. Kamala's, if you look at that, before Kamala's a little higher, I think. So I was thinking Trump might get closer to 60% in Florida, but that spread between Kamala and Donald is pretty significant. So
good.
So if you see what I'm saying, it's like it almost suggests that maybe people are putting in support for third party stuff. Maybe that's a little RFK, maybe it's a little Libertarian Party stuff going on there. But just that Kamala's not that high is itself a good sign for Florida, that people aren't that crazy.
Yep,
definitely.
You know what I mean? Definitely. And I would say there's also this idea of some people are just celebrating and just feeling like, oh, they have to vote one way or another for their just survival. And they are also people who would identify as ANCAPs or agorists or anarchists or what have you. And, they are building their lives. They have families. They're peaceful parents. Their kids aren't in government schools or other compulsory schooling systems, even if it's private or homeschools that are compulsory. because the key is really just not having a compulsory environment that makes your kids, used to being just obedient to whatever authority figure is in the room. So,
are you obedient to my authority figure?
Well, that's by choice.
Is it by choice?
It's give and take.
Give and take. All I know is that this reminds me of I was actually just debating Kinsella online again. We're talking about co-ownership.
That's really
property.
funny you say that. He said this to me so many times. I was just debating Steven Kinsella online again. Oh,
Yeah, because it's just because he was posting it with Liquid Zulu, he's great. I don't know what he's doing right now, but he put together this great series, and Liquid Zulu and I both agree that ownership can only be unitary, that co-ownership is literally a performative contradiction. It's farce. So we're both trying to like hammer that into Steven Kinsella, because it's like, come on, Kinsella.
Well, I get it. He's a lawyer. He's like, well, you could create a legal fiction.
I'm a lawyer. And I came back with some arguments as well.
Okay, but you could still form through contract and a clear definition of some entity.
But it wouldn't be each person labeled ownership. You know
Correct.
What I'm saying? Yeah, right. You can have
You're creating a singular entity to enable you to say we have unity ownership, when in reality it's multiple people.
Multiple people who could have use or access, but it would not be ownership.
Some sort of
an important legal
voting rights or whatever, depending on however their contract was laid out for that fiction. Because there's all kinds of different processes and it's all kinds of different
right. It's just you can't have a co-ownership
but
contract because that would be invalid. Just like you can't have a slavery contract, that would be an invalid contract.
Right.
There it is. That's
murder contract.
Yes, a murder contract.
I want to be killed without my consent.
Invalid contract. Consent. Right. It's murder.
So
you can't contract for murder. It can't be upheld in a libertarian norm because it's an unethical act. You can't contract to do something which is an unethical act violative of someone's consent.
You can contract to kill, but it's not murder.
Yes, it would have to be.
Say, hey, you can kill me at any time. I don't know why you would say that, but
we're talking about all the taboo topics tonight.
If you watch our interview with Walter Block, he gives a fun, gives that example, And he's just like, what if I want to sell myself to Bill Gates and be his slave?
It's so crazy.
And I'm like, no, Walter. Well, in any case, it wouldn't be slavery, just so you know. Like,
it would not be slavery.
Don't write that, Will. Like, there's another way. There's another way out of this. Go fund me some other way, Walter. Don't do this. I know it's your son, but there's another way. You don't have to be Bill Gates. I think
Walter wants to be a slave, and this was actually his letter, and he's been waiting for like 50 years for someone to just take him up on that offer. He's like, please, someone enslave me. That's why he did this. He's like, someone test my theory of voluntary slavery. Like, no.
I don't know Walter well enough.
We'll have to go eat with him and ask and pry. Yeah, no, Walter,
ask him what? Do you like being enslaved?
No, we just say, prove it, Walter. You really believe in voluntary slavery? All right, sign right here in the dotted line, Walter. Prove it to us. You're going to become our slave now. He's like, no. Oh, okay.
He would be like, you're not Bill Gates rich. You can't save my son. He has cancer.
We'll pretend. We'll be his Bill Gates, and we'll inject him with love.
So anyway, exactly. Definitions matter. Murder has a definition. Rape.
Does. Ownership has a definition.
The common thing is consent. If you consent,
statism has a definition.
It can no longer be murder or rape. If you consent.
Right. Consent is the difference.
Yeah.
It's the difference between putting it in and pulling it out. So speaking of putting it in and pulling it out, could someone pull us out of this? Could we just like let go of having president for a year? Wouldn't that be great? Let's just be like, yeah, let's skip this one, guys. We don't need one. We're good. We'll just kind of let things go. We can just handle things without that. We're good. In fact, we could skip Congress as well. That'll be a good win. So, yeah. Well, this is going to go on for much longer than we're going to be up for.
I wish I could just at least just pull all my funding and not have to use U.S. dollars if I didn't want for transactions with other people.
Obviously, there's certain situations required.
Here's some silver.
Here's some silver.
Here's some Bitcoin.
Well, unfortunately, I can't do silver on the campaign, but I can do fiat notes. So get them in on Voluntary Suit Saga 2 before they become less valuable after whoever wins, because we all know that neither of them is going to solve this inflation problem. In fact, they're going to
go either way.
make it worse. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Hey, JP says, Walter, be my butler. He says, I want to sell myself as a voluntary slave to Mac. Oh, Mac. Right. Oh my goodness. I don't think you want that. I think that's gonna be a rough time for you.
Oh, is that a person?
Yeah, that's Mackenzie that he's talking about. Okay. Mackenzie hates us, I think.
Oh, really? Wow.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, we even mentioned her in our song. I don't even think she knows, honestly.
Oh, Tom Woods House?
Tom Woods House song.
There's several people we mentioned that just like...
Oh, yeah, who are on burn notice right now.
Who are actually like two-faced and didn't like us at all.
Two-faced haters, dude.
Like just pretended to be our friends.
Yeah. But that is the nature of being out there.
It's the nature of being public. Because like you specifically meet strangers on the internet, right? Someone reaches out to you. They're like, hey, you have no idea who they are. Right. And they're like, I want to interview you. And then like, sometimes, and you may often get that sort of two-facedness because they may just be trying to use you for clout. Yeah. For just whatever you've built up for yourself. And, when they're done, you find out later they secretly don't like you. Yeah, and I don't care about clout stuff in terms of like chasing clout or like leveraging up and going podcasts or promoting other people. Just the nature. It's just, do you actually like the person or are you two-faced? There's a big difference between pretending? Like, I want to promote my stuff and you want to promote yourself. That's cool. That's normal business. But it's like if you're like, no, you actually just hate and then you have all these crazy projections, which, yeah, I mean, going through the years, you come across a lot of people and you find out that there's some really crazy people out there and they put on that face for social media. We won't name names or be specific in this case, but in general, we have met many. We have seen like, toxic people. How do you function? Yeah. Yeah. Who just, they have double standards, they're hypocrites and they sell out. They put on the face for the internet and then you see behind the scenes and it's just train wreck. Yeah. Yeah. And definitely. As you can see here behind us is Godzilla. That's the only train wreck we got right now. Oh, and Rippaverse stuff. Oh yeah, Rippaverse down there too. We got that. I got new Rippaverse stuff. Some of my figures over there. Yeah. Speaking of which, I got to do this plug. I'm sorry, I have to do this plug. But we did just see Godzilla G-1 for the fourth time. The extended. Yeah, was it all interviews? So I thought they were gonna have extra scenes. No, I thought they was gonna have extra scenes in the main movie, but it was actually just like the director and the VFX head, giving some talks before and after the movie, which was cool. The only part that was tough was my dad was like, he's getting old there. It's hitting that point, and nobody's ever told me how hard this would be because you see it out there, but you never know until you experience it. But having to deal with an elderly parent. And like having to start to take care of that, it's tough stuff. So he was like literally on his phone. He's like, I gotta text somebody like that. His notifications were all the way up, and I heard his messages coming in. Yeah. I'm like, oh my goodness. It wasn't a crowded theater. Unfortunately, it wasn't like 3 or 4 people. A brand new movie and a crowded theater, because otherwise we would have been like, oh my gosh. But like, Dad, turn off the phone. Turn off the phone. People, like, you're not supposed to be texting in the middle of the movie with this bright light and sound. Like, what's going on? So, but needless to say, the movie was still great. And Godzilla -1, G-1 is my favorite movie of all time now. Go see it if you haven't. It's in theaters, maybe still. I don't know. We got but it was amazing. A black and blue figure, the classic look. The classic and then this is not the movie, but it's gold. So that's a little present for for Jack here. It's also a very refreshing movie because it's got a great human story to it. The action's awesome and it's got amazing liberty themes. I mean, it's like you're like, oh my gosh, this is what it's like to have liberty themes in a movie, and it's not like preaching at you, but it's just so strong in there. And you're like, wow. I thought you hate government orders. Yeah, I know. Stuff like that. I do. But somebody's got to do it. It's in Japanese though. It's more like, I don't know how they say it in Japanese. Like, don't go desu ka? Don't go desu ka? Okay, I don't know. Sorry. I don't know how to speak Japanese there. I could look it up on Google Translate. This is why the Japanese actually did the rape of Nanking, is because of Chinese people trying to do weeb voices. Are you saying the Sino-Japanese war was because of Chinese weebs? They're like, we got to stop them.
As the Guard says, the best Godzilla movie to date.
Nani! I like how Baron's like, Nani. I know, like quintessential anime line. Nani! And it like zooms in. Nani. And then the background's like...
But it's just such a great movie. It will literally lift your soul. It brought me to tears. I cried several times throughout the movie. I cannot speak more highly of it. And again, I know, I'm hyping up. Am I giving you too high expectations? Maybe, but I don't see how I could, because if you've just been so tired of everything that's been in Hollywood lately, there's no way to not watch it and be like, oh my gosh, this is what it's like to watch a good movie again. It feels like that. You're like, what happened? Where'd this kind of stuff go? What, you know what I mean? Your jaw just drops. So,
and I would say that what I love is it preserves like what I understand to be the canon story for Godzilla or Gojira, which is he was born, he was just like a sea monster, but he was small, but like because of nuclear testing in the oceans, he became a monster that could regenerate even if like, you know, a bomb goes off on him or something.
Yeah.
And he regenerates right away because of the mutation from the radiation. So
yeah, I mean, it's got all the classic themes of Godzilla. It's got a great Godzilla body. I mean, look at that body. Look at it. It's just amazing.
Well, they gave it a unique look, which is so cool. I've come to find that, okay, that is pretty neat about the Gojira fandom, is like any director who takes on writing that story and then trying to create a new looking Godzilla, like Shin Godzilla, for example, they kind of give it a new life. I just like if they really keep to the original story, at least, even if they like, you know, change who the human protagonist characters are and the time and stuff like that, or try to, you know, create a timeline, which is really cool. So yeah, it was really fun to watch. And I would say you would probably enjoy it if you just like the idea of living or just like, and the idea of like celebrating life and the fact that every day that you're alive, it is something to celebrate, you know, just to be thankful for that you still have a chance to make a difference in the world, and make things better. So it's a really good theme, and it speaks to what used to be the predominant culture at the time in Japan, which was of collectivism, like totally just sacrificing yourself, killing yourself for the collective, for the broader Japanese people, you know, or your country, or rather government, you know, and really just going against that culture and saying, no, we should live, we should value life, and we should help each other live. And so I think that's just a very powerful theme. And I guess hopefully that's not a spoiler, but just telling what the theme is. But it's very beautiful. It's so beautiful. And yeah, we watched it in black and white. We watched it.
I prefer personally, you know, in color. You can see that beautiful energy.
Oh yeah, the blue.
But it is really cool to see in black and white too. Like watching it both, it's enjoyable. It's got, you know, different pros and cons of both. But I think the colors they called the black and white color, but the one that's in color, you know.
Yeah, right. Kind of full color. Yeah. I think the black and white gives it this feel of like, oh, this really brings you back to that wartime, that era, because they did a really good job with the scene setting. It really made you feel like, and from the clothing and how everything was in post-war Japan, really made you, you know, feel like you're almost there. And when it's in black and white, it gives it that like classic, I don't know, 40s feel.
Yeah, like a 40s, 50s movie potentially. I mean, obviously 50s started as some color, but yeah, maybe 40s.
Yeah, Ike Moon 30s. Right there. And Cat, anonymous cat.
It's beautiful. Godzilla is beautiful. You know what's not beautiful?
It's beautiful?
Having to deal with this nonsense. But you know what makes it more beautiful? Going to volencap.com. That is definitely not a... There we go. Close enough.
I feel like that's not the theme song.
It's not, but you need to go to volencap.com. And if you have not already, make sure you check it out. Make sure you sign up to be notified when campaign launches. Don't miss out on this amazing series. This is the best art that we have ever done. I literally got top tier talent that's so good. They also did something for Rippaverse as well. So
really,
yes, they actually did one of the original posters that they sold. Yes.
Oh, right. That's
This guy
how you
is
found
top
out about
tier.
it. Cool.
Yeah, who I have going.
Thanks,
So
Eric July.
yes, well, just thanks for the artists who are out there who support independent creators. And thanks, Eric July, for of course promoting Voluntarius and supporting it. But just seeing people who are like, yes, like this is like the Rippaverse ethos, like that's what they want to be a part of. I'm like, yes, okay, cool. So I like being a part of that, and supporting people who are talented and who bring to the table some really great designs. And so this is going to be the next level thing. Who knows? This might even surpass Voluntarius in terms of popularity, because I can already hear the chatter that they really like this character. It's a cool badass girl with guns. And
if you look at the demographic of who mostly reads comics, tends to be
guys who like cool stuff.
Men specifically who like women. Okay, it's not like gay men specifically. Like, not very often.
Right.
Usually straight men. And what do straight men like? They don't like looking at another straight dude in tights. They're like, no, I want to see a cool girl shooting. Well, that's not a straight man. That's gay man.
I like looking at it.
I mean, maybe you get inspired, but you know what I mean. Not like.
Look at those cheeks. Are those not super Liberty cheeks?
Yeah, but you're not like turned on.
No, not personally, but it is kind of,
exactly.
I like Epic. I like
exactly. But whereas with the girl, there's the attraction. And so most guys who are straight men are comic readers. And why was Yaira so popular compared to Isom? I don't know. Just saying, there's demographics. And I think that definitely this will be more popular than Voluntarius. And also I would think with ladies, because you could really relate to her as a character, like I do personally.
Oh yeah. Especially because you look at it like, oh, that's cool. So that's a cool,
Michalak. I like the sh.
Competition rig.
I like the double sh in her name.
Yeah, Michalak. That's right.
Michalak.
Yeah, I'm excited to showcase it to you. We're still, of course, working on interiors, even that's in pre-production. I have been already working on inks, colors, letters. I've been doing lettering.
The interiors are beautiful.
Yeah, so it's
I'm like,
it's
wow.
looking tight. It's looking real tight.
Yeah, the coloring is really lovely. The art, drawings, the ink.
It's just a little teaser.
There's an ink right there, and you can really see how nice the interior page.
You might, if you have to look close, I don't want to spoil too much or anything, but if you look really close, you can even see Igor Teixeira's cover there too. So there's a hollow foil that he did, from Rippaverse. He's their lead graphic artist. He was actually on earlier. If you saw it, if you're here later and you weren't there, he was he was hanging out, piping on in from Brazil. So it was really great to see him
piping on in.
But he's super talented. I love his work. In fact, he's the one who did the cover art on my first nonfiction book. So I've been working with him for a long time, and I love his work, and that's why just love having him back every time, and hope to continue that too, which we will.
We are so thankful that even though Rippaverse really got him full time to be his lead, right?
He's a lead graphic artist for Rippaverse.
Yeah, right, exactly, for Rippaverse. So he's so busy; it's his full time thing. So the fact that he's even willing to just on the side, help us with these covers, we're really thankful for it. It's
very
really
thankful. He's so awesome, and he's a pleasure to work with. So I'm very honored every time we get to do something new together. So. And we got some new stuff to show too, so it's gonna be fun.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah. It says, is her name a Stan Lee alliteration? No. Well, are you saying
Mishi Michalak?
Is a Stan Lee? You're saying? Oh wait, I'm trying to think. Are you saying Stan Lee an alliteration of his name, or just like that he employed alliteration for characters?
Oh.
And so, because I didn't actually think of Stan Lee as him using alliteration when I made the character's name.
Now.
I based it off of something more personal to me that I won't say because it's top secret. So
I see.
She's like, oh, I see. She knows what it is, but she knows that she can't.
I know. I'm just
say it either.
Like, oh, yeah. I she.
Yeah, you she. So no, I actually didn't think of anything with Stan Lee when I made it. It was something more personal. So, but yeah, it's hot, of course. That's what we do here.
Philosophy is hot. Thanks, anti-globalist. Global government.
Yeah. Philosophy is hot. I thought for a second he said Mishi Michalak. I just realized. But
no, it's totally a different word, and it's one word.
But totally agreed.
Are you tired?
I'm tired. Actually, I can't believe it's almost 10 o'clock already. Stan Lee, the man.
All right. There's all these people hanging out. What are you guys doing? Are you guys watching? Are they debating? They
Well-
should totally be debating and like as the votes come in.
Well, I was gonna say we'll take one quick last peep here because we got to wrap it out. I actually have to go drive to the airport. Obviously it's just kind of fun to see what the statists are all doing with their time and what they're plotting here. So as you can see here, I was curious, especially for our hometown.
Yeah,
what's
let's
Florida?
go by the states.
Florida's got
I wanna
95%
actually see.
in. Obviously Trump was going to win. That's Trump country, no doubt there. But the spread is actually pretty
There are
impressive.
so many flags, though. As much
Yeah.
as there are Harris signs, there's way more Trump flags. Like,
Well, when you look at this, I mean, the 6-4 is pretty
Around
crazy. And I would say the in-betweens too, like your non-voters and your independents are probably not Kamala people, if you know what I mean. Florida has definitely taken a conservative to libertarian shift in the past several
can we
years.
see more for the?
Yeah, what do you want to
I
say?
want to see.
You just tell me the name.
On the top right, could you
Okay.
show more
Yeah.
for Florida? In the very top right for president, can you show more?
Here?
Yeah, because I want to see like Chase Oliver if he got anything and what that breakdown was. If you show more in the
So it shows
top
for
right.
Florida, we have Jill
Oh,
Stein,
wow,
Chase
okay.
Oliver. So
Interesting.
whoever
Oh
was
no, Party
Claudia-
for Socialism. Oh no.
Yeah, well,
All right,
socialism's
but
not that hot
31.
here.
Okay.
Yeah, at least it's way less than the Libertarian Party. So
Wow.
Chase has 31,000. Jill
Yeah.
Stein's a little bit higher number.
I see
then
that. You really
Constitution
have to
Party.
be a celebrity to really break through into the millions.
Right,
If
but-
you're talking about a federal election, you're like, okay, you gotta like somehow get famous enough for millions of people to
Mhm.
know who you are.
I would say I don't know what the American Solidarity Party is. I don't
I've
even care.
never heard of the last three.
Yeah.
Oh, I've
I've heard
heard
of
of
no, I know
Constitution,
Constitution Party. I know
but I
Constitution.
haven't heard of the second or
Yeah,
the-
Constitution would be like between
third
Trump
to
and
last.
Libertarian. It'd be in between where Trump
Yeah.
and Libertarian is. But yeah, it's an interesting makeup. It's a very interesting makeup. I don't know that most of these would go to Kamala, which is good, but
Yeah, and notice how total they don't even hit 1 million. Like
who?
if you look at all the votes that aren't Democrat or Republican,
Oh yeah, it's
just
it's
on the
very
response
tiny
of many
comparatively. It's
people
very
being
tiny.
like, "Oh my gosh, how dare you? You voted for this person
Mhm.
that should have gone to, Kamala or Donald." But, one, usually it doesn't even make up a significant amount to really even make a difference either way, assuming all those would have gone to either person. And then
Mhm.
secondly, some people would have just not voted for all, none of the above, like literally like what happened at the Libertarian National Convention. Some people were like,
Mhm.
none of the above. But just the point is like, to just assume one way or the other that this individual person, their vote would have then gone to either Democrats or Republican is silly. Like they may have just not voted at all. So, and frankly, the point of what we were saying before is just ask yourself, like, how preoccupied are you with trying to get people to vote a certain way to the point where you're willing to just like shame them and say that their way of trying to move liberty forward is wrong and that your way of voting for Donald Trump is the only way to save America, which is insane because there's so many levels and ways to fight tyranny. And like I said, decentralized and anonymous, in my opinion, is the most powerful. Instead of like a target on your back and being like, look at us,
It's also interesting to note that
Yeah.
there's 6 million Trump, 4.6 Kamala in Florida, but in the state of Florida, there's over 17 million adults.
Wow.
So it's just a good
So,
reminder that it's like, as much
6
as this is going to
million,
come in, and of course there's going to be some who can't, do whatever. There's still kind of a large swath of people who are so tired of this nonsense. And we're two of them, you know what I mean? We're two of those people
I'm
who are
tired of
who are
being
not counted.
taxed
And we
inflated
hate
to
everything that's going on. You know what I mean?
Yes,
So,
and forced to fund tyranny, forced to fund the indoctrination of the next generation of Americans. It's really infuriating.
yeah.
So if you're gonna cry about something, don't cry if Donald Trump wins or
Mm.
Kamala Harris. You should be crying that you're paying over 50% in taxation and inflation and you're just enslaved. And so
Definitely.
just help us spread the message of property rights and try to create that yourself. You you can definitely try to do that every day, the best you can. I know everyone has a different situation, living under different governments, but I believe you can find a way to be more free.
Definitely. And that's what we want to do here. That's why we promote what we do. We promote the ways that we do outreach. We promote others who are doing good work as well. So we thank everybody who's been a part of that and who continues to help grow that parallel economy and that cultural shift. Because obviously it is having an impact.
Thanks for being here.
It is having an impact because those people see us as being needed to pander to. Right now, their pandering, in my opinion, is just not genuine. It's not material. It's not substantial, but they do recognize, oh my gosh, I got to do something to try to capture some of these people because it's that significant. It's true. So that is a true part of that there is this idea that the anti-state, libertarian, anti-authoritarian, ANCAP voluntarist, Javier Milei kind of mindset is getting that popularity. So
what is the order of winning that is colloquial or common? It's like
first they ignore you, then they laugh at you,
right?
Then they tickle your butthole, and they win, or then you win,
and then they try to fight you.
Then they fight you, then you win, yeah.
Right, and then you win. So I think at this point we have, I guess there's kind of this, where does pandering go in those phases? It's kind of in between. They're not necessarily
pandering is different. They ignore you, they laugh at you, then they pander to you. And
right, I feel like you need to put pander to you.
Then they start pandering.
And then they're like, crap, we got to fight you now because you're getting too much power.
Right. Then they fight you.
Hopefully you win.
Well, just real quick, just want to say one major shout out here to High Society Drum Labs. Thank you so much for your generous support. It says Powerful Moment Liberty Prime. I still don't know. He never confirmed or denied if it's the Liberty Prime that we're used to seeing here. Confused about that, but either way,
I don't know, because I didn't know Liberty Prime had a son. I thought he was way too young. Like, what the heck?
Yeah, and also I don't never see him use High Society Drum Labs.
Maybe there's another Liberty Prime.
There's got to be another Liberty Prime. So thank you so much for your generous support. It's greatly appreciated.
Yeah, thank you.
Those resources will be used for FA and Liberty expansion. At least one of those, if not both.
FA and Koiku.
But yeah, no, thank you so much, and thank you to everyone else who participated, hung out with us, and basically
it's been
just
really fun.
Threw some support out this way, and in terms of encouragement and joining with us in our various fun, creative things and ways of trying to reach people. So
yeah, definitely. And please check out the comic series. There's all kinds of perks. You can get $1 digital. You can have an ad in it and be part of this great community of people who really value liberty. And then there's also perks for if you really do enjoy comics and print comics and holofoil comics. You can really see all these different ones. And especially if you're new, I would recommend the catch-up package so that you can get the Origins one. It's this awesome, you were holding it up earlier, it's over there, this trade paperback where you get 6 issues all in one. Just this beautiful in your hand, if you like to read and you like pictures like I do. You can read that, and then you also get Suit Saga 1 and then the latest issue, which is Suit Saga 2. So that's a great one.
It's a winning way to join.
And then if for some reason you don't like Indiegogo, you can also check out Fund My Comic, which is another way that you can support and look at the perks over there. We just don't have the ad spot over there. So yeah, just thanks so much for your time. Hope you check it out and that you really enjoy what we're bringing with the comic universe, which is ANCAP Comics, so far Voluntarius and VolunCap.
That's true. Really and no matter what happens tonight, you could still win in the morning by knowing that your Voluntarius comics are coming to you.
We will ship them to you
with some great messages and some great people to check out too, who are sponsors, who are in the parallel economy.
He has a sweatshop. It's called One Woman, His Wife.
Well, that's true. She is,
and he's like, go.
When people talk about Chinese sweatshops, they're actually talking about pho. I work a very hard.
Just kidding. It's very hard. Wait, what?
I work a hard order, with you.
Oh, yeah. I'm like,
I've let up a little bit in recent times, but before I used to make her grind. I'm like, nope, you got to keep going. But we'll see.
And then you found that love is the way. That love will change the world and a respect of individual body and property rights. All right, everyone. We'll end it that way. Thanks so much for hanging out.
Take care, everybody.
Stay awesome and
stay principled. And we'll see what happens come tomorrow or maybe next week with the way that this, third world show is going to go, as I'm sure it will, considering what's happening. So take care.
I'll miss you. Oh my God.
I miss
Pha is right.
Pha
The
is
guy
right.
who games a lot, true. Don't you want to take Venezuelan migrants?